So what does it feel like to go into hypnosis? Is it like your brain is switched off or zapped or you're being controlled? Or is it like you've just taken some sort of mind-altering drug? Well, that's what we're going to be exploring in this video. Hi, I'm Stephen Burns from Mind School and I've been a practicing hypnotherapist for just over 22 years. And in this video I want to talk about what it feels like to be hypnotised. Because this is a commonly asked question. When people are starting out practicing self-hypnosis, they're kind of like, well, am I in trance? I don't really know. Is this working? I've no idea. And I think the reason why people ask questions like this, especially in the beginning, is because they don't really know yet what it feels like to be hypnotised, or they have some kind of weird, warped expectation that's just getting in the road. So in this video I want to talk about what it feels like, and in particular I'm going to talk a bit about some of the myths and misconceptions, and then towards the end I want to give you an experience of this, just so it's not just theoretical information. So of course, before we begin, if you could like and subscribe, in fact if you could smash the subscribe button, that's what people say these days, ring the bell, you know the drill, that would be absolutely fantastic. Also, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask about the subject of self-hypnosis, then please do share those questions in the comments box below. So let's begin. So what does it actually feel like when you go into hypnosis? Well, like I said, in order to answer that, I want to also talk about some of the myths and misconceptions that surround the subject of hypnosis, and there are quite a few. So the first myth is that hypnosis is exactly the same thing as relaxation, or relaxation is the same thing as hypnosis. I always get those two the wrong way around. Now, in truth, relaxation, we often use it as a segue to go into hypnosis because it helps calm the system down. It helps you just become more centered and in the moment. So this is a very good bridge that you can use to then enter the state of hypnosis. But it's not the same thing as hypnosis. Also, relaxation can be a byproduct. When we go into trance, we often feel very relaxed during and after it. But again, that doesn't mean that they are the two things. They're not equated. That when you get down to it, hypnosis is very much about absorption. It's when you become so completely absorbed in whatever it is you're focusing on in that very moment. So, like those times when you are doing an activity that you love and you're just so connected with the experience. It's kind of like just time disappears and maybe you don't even notice the people around about you or the things. It's just like you just become so focused and so connected. Maybe it's exercise, maybe you like running, or perhaps you do presentations. That's a really good example where you just lose yourself in the activity. Well, that is an example of hypnotic trance. You might not think it is, but it absolutely is. It's that state of absorption. So when you're doing self-hypnosis, you're looking to create that state of absorption when you're just fully immersed in whatever it is that you're doing. And of course, you're usually doing this with your eyes closed, and it tends to be a deeper and softer version of that. So that's the first thing just to keep in mind. You will use relaxation for self-hypnosis and you will feel relaxed, but it's not really the same thing. It's more about absorption. So the second kind of myth or misconception is this idea that when you're hypnotised, your brain is zapped. It's kind of like it's switched off. There's nothing going on in there. This is absolute nonsense. In fact, there's all kinds of research that's been done that's shown that when you're hypnotised, there's actually more brainwave activity going on than when you are in the day-to-day normal waking state. It's just a different type of brain activity. It's kind of like you're experiencing more of a heightened sense of awareness. So a really good indicator that you're going into trance, that you're experiencing hypnosis, is where you actually have a shift in your senses, especially in your imagination. And I don't just mean visualization, I mean all of the senses. So sure, the pictures will start to get clearer, but also the sounds will get sharper, and you'll start to experience feelings that maybe you don't really feel in the normal waking day-to-day state. For me, when I do self-hypnosis trance work, it's a really weird thing happens. My eyesight actually starts to get better. I normally have to wear glasses. So when I come out of trance, all of a sudden I can start to see things that before I couldn't really see. It's really, really weird. But it's a great indication that I've been in that place of self-hypnosis because my senses are starting to change. I'm experiencing this heightened sense of awareness. So when you go into hypnotic trance, it's not that your brain has been zapped, it's not been switched off, you've not become a zombie. There's a lot that's going on there. You're just experiencing the world in a different way. It's more of a heightened sense of awareness. So the third thing I want to mention, and this again is another myth or another concern, and that is that when you're hypnotised, you're no longer in control. Now, in truth, this is more of a myth or more of a concern associated with being hypnotised by someone else. But I think it's still worth mentioning in the context of self-hypnosis. And this is this idea that when you're in trance, you're no longer in control, you've given up control, so to speak. And this is not the case. Now, I know when you watch something like a stage hypnosis show, it can appear like the person is out of control. But actually, the reality is very different, especially when it comes to self-hypnosis. That would argue that actually when you go into hypnosis, you are actually in more control. It's just a different type of control. It's kind of like you've just given the responsibility over to your subconscious mind. So you're maybe not aware of it, you're not consciously holding the reins, so to speak, but that doesn't mean you're not in control. You're just kind of trusting your subconscious to take charge of it for a portion of time. And the thing is, we've all had experiences like this. One classic example is when you're driving a car, assuming that you know how to drive. When we first learned how to drive a car, we had so many things to think about at the one time. We had to consciously think about, adjusting the rear view mirror and then thinking, okay, mirror, signal, maneuver, press the clutch. So many things to think about. But then eventually you learned the process of driving a car. And now what happens? You jump into the car and you just trust yourself. You go into automatic mode. This is an example where you've handed over responsibility of something to your subconscious mind. Now, does that mean that you are less in control of driving the car? No. In fact, I would suggest it means you're more in control. If you're trying to think of all these things at the one time when you were first starting to learn, then you were probably out of control of the car then. But because you're trusting your subconscious mind, it's much better at doing things like that, then you're actually more in control. So when we're doing hypnosis, it's a very similar thing. We're just giving responsibility over to our subconscious mind. And that doesn't mean that we're out of control. It just means that we're trusting the deeper parts of ourselves to take control for a portion of time. I've heard some hypnotists describe this as the difference between doing and allowing. When we're consciously putting effort into something, we're doing it, we're striving, we're trying to make something happen. Whereas when you trust your unconscious or your subconscious mind, you just go into automatic mode, you let it happen, and you allow it to happen. So that's the third thing. So that's the kind of thing you're looking for when you're in trance, is you just want to kind of almost like let things happen. If things just seem to be drifting from one thing to the next, then that's a good indication that you're in that place of hypnosis. So hopefully going through these 3 myths and misconceptions is giving you a better understanding of what it feels like to go into hypnosis. So what I'd also like to do now is just to give you an experience of it, so that this doesn't just remain as some kind of theory. So in a moment, I'm going to play 2 different videos, and these videos are designed to encourage you to enter this place of, really nice absorption. It's not that you're going to go into some kind of deep trance or anything, but it'll just give you an indication of what it actually feels like. So first of all, when you're watching these videos, I want you to commit to them. So really focus your attention on them, fix your gaze on them and lose yourself in that experience. So don't be fragmenting your attention. Don't be texting your mate or watching the TV at the same time. Just fully fix your attention and become absorbed. The second thing is I'd recommend you gauge how you feel before you watch the videos versus to how you feel after them. It's just really useful just to get that contrast, because I pretty much guarantee that you'll feel a bit different after them, and that is the experience. That's what it feels like when you're in that place of trance. So, are you ready? Ready to fully focus on this video? So I want you just to put everything aside and then focus on this video now. So, welcome back. So that is what is often referred to as the hypnotic swirl. I'm sure you've seen it before. But how do you feel right now? A lot of the time people say that, their vision is a little bit weird, they feel a bit more relaxed, they feel more absorbed. It's just kind of like they're just in this, kind of daydream-like experience. That's what it feels like when you go into trance. So, we're going to look at another video. That was the hypnotic swirl. So this one is called the flickering fire, and this is my favourite out of the two. So once again, if you can just put aside distractions and then give this video your full attention, become transfixed in it. So, the flickering fire, what did you think? Once again, I want you just to gauge how you're feeling just now in this moment. There's a very good chance that you've felt a shift in your sensations, your feelings. Maybe your senses have begun to change. Perhaps you're starting to experience that heightened sense of your awareness. Or maybe you're just in a kind of little daydream again. Just become aware of how you feel different in comparison to how you felt before you watched the video. So, that's just a quick experience of what it's like. Obviously, when you do self-hypnosis for real, it's a deeper sense of this, but that's a great way just to get a feel for it, just to get you started. So hopefully you enjoyed this video and it really has deepened your understanding of what it feels like when you are going into trance, when you're hypnotized. If you have any questions or any comments, then please do stick them in the comments section. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. And of course, if you want to subscribe to the channel just so that you can keep up to date with future Mind School videos. The other thing I just want to mention before we finish is this is part of a series on self-hypnosis techniques. So if you want to check out the other videos, then you can see the links to them in the description below. So that's all for me. Have a great week and I'll see you later on.